All right, welcome back to Mind and Magic. And if you're new here, welcome. Today I want to talk about the Caution of Capricorn. So let's get into it. Now, before we get into the Caution of Capricorn, allow me to take you back to last week when I had discussed getting your house in order and that we had a big, deep cleaning purge of everything that just wasn't being used anymore or taking up space unnecessarily. Well, I'm about to have another purge coming up, and that is the Great Facebook Purge. Many people, perhaps you yourself, have added me on Facebook as a friend due to the social media links that I post at the end of every video. And I would, on average, get about a handful of friend requests every week. But not long after I did a Mercury and Sun combo right for more business visibility, that I returned to Facebook to find over 1,450 friend requests waiting for me. And they continue to come in faster than I can keep up with them, frankly. Now, either I got a lot more visibility or I'm just getting botted. And I strongly suspect the latter. Now, this wouldn't be so much of an issue if Facebook wouldn't limit your friends to only 5,000. That is the maximum that you can have. And so suspecting that a lot of them are bots or people that aren't interested in magic at all per se, I don't know why that would be, other than they're just trying to max out a friend count. They are taking up room for those who are interested. I don't care about a quantity on my friends list. I want quality. And so a Facebook purge needs to happen. At first, I just accepted everyone, but now that I have more friend requests than I have room, I have to start making room. And so the following people will be purged and deleted from my Facebook friends list. People with no recent posts. If you're on my friends list and you haven't posted since last year, I'm sorry, I gotta cut you loose. Same with people who have no profile picture. If you don't have a profile picture, you're probably not all that engaged. You know you can put a picture up of something other than yourself, right? If you don't want to be seen. People whose profile is in a foreign language without any evidence of understanding English. I post my content in English, and so if you can't understand what I'm posting, then you're just boxing out someone who can. Any obvious bots have got to go, and that will be the start. So I'm giving you a heads up, but odds are you need not worry. You're probably fine. I have a working theory, though, that as I keep having to refine my list over and over and purge those who have the inability to engage or even understand, that in the end, I'll just be left with 5,000 hot babes. No, I'm kidding, but I do want to end up with a quality friends list. But, that may be difficult on Facebook. I really don't like using Facebook. It is a bit of a cluster mess. So this is something that I'll only be doing in my spare time, as little as that as I get. So going forward, I only want to accept those who want to add Frater Xavier from Mind and Magic, as opposed to those who are trying to add me for God knows what else reason. So my Facebook is about to become a more exclusive list. So with that out of the way, let's get into Capricorn and why it is so cautious. All right, so my sun sign is Capricorn, so I know this all too well. Caution is a big part of my life. And you may think you know what that means, but unless you have strong Capricorn placements, you probably don't know what that means. Because you may think, well, caution is just not taking risks. And that's true, but it's more unnecessary risks than anything else. Not taking a chance when one need not be taken. I'll give you an example. Our laundry room. There is detergents and bleach and chemicals stored in there, and so I don't let my cats go in there. Now, they probably wouldn't mess with the chemicals or could even get into them if they tried, But if I don't allow them in that room, then I know for sure there's nothing to be concerned about because nothing can happen. That's the caution of Capricorn, not taking the chance on an unnecessary risk. Capricorn itself, the sign, is known for being skeptical and negative thinking. But its negative thinking prevents things from happening, turning the negativity into a positive. So some of you may be familiar with the Marvel Loki series, where they brought in the idea of a multiverse because they were killing off characters and they needed a way to bring them back and time travel and everything else. So they created a multiverse where timelines split and diverge because something would happen and cause a different outcome to occur. And he's initially captured and ends up joining an agency called the TVA, the Time Variance Authority, whose job is to go around pruning or purging all timelines that are not authorized. They would go back and prevent that timeline from even occurring, therefore guarding the sacred timeline. There's only one sacred timeline. That's what Capricorn does with its caution and its skepticism. It guards its own timeline. It sees into the future all the possibilities of bad things and negative things occurring, and it heads them off so that they cannot occur. Capricorn prevents the possibility of them even occurring in the first place. In magic, this ability is good for helping you bind down the action not wanted. You can head it off before it occurs. That's what Capricorn excels at, because Capricorn is the goat that climbs the mountain. And having the ability to see things ahead is Capricorn's way of checking for loose rocks as it climbs the mountain. And, you always hear that you get what you focus on, so you shouldn't be thinking negatively. Well, the caution of Capricorn and its way of negative thinking is only that way so as not to dwell on it, by eliminating it altogether, by making sure that things don't happen, to not have things branch off into a timeline that you do not want. And in that way, by checking for those loose rocks, they're able to climb the mountain and they're steadily making progress. Because the Capricorn way of negative thinking is to guard against the negative from occurring. And that may fly in the face of everything that you've ever been taught or told. But it's also one of the reasons that Capricorn is the achiever of the zodiac. Capricorn is the architect of the zodiac, designing its own life as it sees fit, and trying to head off negative events before they occur is part of that. They say Capricorn climbs the mountain, it climbs the ladder. It's constantly moving up and improving. But that's only because they're checking for those loose rocks. If they hit a loose rock, well, then they fall and they're knocked down to the level where everyone else is at. It's all about taking one step forward and no steps back, while everyone else is one step forward, two steps back, or one step forward, one step back. Capricorn doesn't want to lose its footing, and so it doesn't take unnecessary risks. I hope this is making sense to you. To be the architect of the zodiac, you have to build solid foundations. Capricorn is cardinal earth. It's the beginning of physicality. So you need a strong and secure foundation in order to build upon. Now you could look at it that way as well. Capricorn eliminating any weaknesses in the foundation. And so if you know someone who has a strong Capricorn placement, sun, moon, ascendant, and they're talking about something negative that can happen or something, this is why. They're seeing a possibility down the road and they want to eliminate it from occurring. That's all it is. In many ways, Capricorn is the ultimate protector by eliminating the dangers and the threats before they even exist. Capricorn is ruled by the planet Saturn, and Saturn corresponds with time. Speaking of which, it is now time to take a short break. And as I mentioned timelines, there's really only one sacred timeline, and that's the one that you create yourself, for better or for worse. And this is largely controlled by your vibration. We have gone over vibration before. It is one of the Hermetic principles as well as a law of magic. There is this working theory in Hermetics, and I use the word theory not because it doesn't work or isn't true, but that it's in the realm of the unproven. Much like what do we experience beyond death is unprovable. It's widely opinionated, but it's still unprovable. And that is that all possible realities and timelines exist simultaneously, and all you need to do is step into the one you want. And this is done by controlling your vibration, which in turn controls your frequency, which in turn dictates your reality, your waking dream, so to speak. See, vibration is a key, and you could say the key, to everything that you're looking for in life. Because as your vibration controls your frequency, that frequency grants you access to everything within that frequency. I want to explain this in a way that people can understand because it's very so often misunderstood. So let's take a look at my temple cam here. Just a normal camera, seeing in the visible spectrum of light that we all do. And pay attention to the circle on the floor. The circle is mostly black, and you can't see the flooring through it. There's only the black circle. But look what happens when I change the camera's visible light frequency to infrared. Well, the visible spectrum of light colors have gone away, but we now can see through the circle. We can see the flooring through it. The different frequency has granted us access through it. And that's really what happens when you change your vibration and frequency. If you raise your vibration to a higher frequency, you now have access to higher and better things, which equates to a better life, and one that you create. Simply put, when you're in a low vibrational state, you don't have access to the higher vibrational things. Having a low vibrational state will create a low frequency, which in turn will create a low vibrational reality. As above, so below. As within, so without. And as that axiom goes, you won't have access to the higher frequency realities externally until you change your frequency internally. Because it's the state of your frequency within that creates your reality without. You could think of it as your waking life is a vivid dream that you can control, but you were never taught how. And the key to it is your state control, otherwise known as your vibration. And when you're able to do this, it is like jumping timelines. Because right now you're stuck in a timeline of your own frequency, and until it's changed, you're just going to get more of the same of what you've been getting over and over in an endless loop. Because when it comes to frequencies, they're compartmentalized. They are separate from one another, and you have no access to other frequencies that you're not a part of. You know, it's been said that you can't manifest what you want, you can only manifest what you are, meaning that which is in your vibrational frequency. So how do you raise your vibration and frequency so that you can have access to a better reality? Well, I just mentioned it. It's state control. It's maintaining your mental and emotional states while focusing on the reality that you want and not losing that state when your subconscious is sabotaging you, as it will. Because your vibration is regulated by your subconscious, who we know rules over your unconscious habits and is habitually comfortable where it's at. It doesn't want you to access higher vibrations and frequencies. It is most comfortable when there isn't that great of a change, and so if you're in a low vibratory state, it will do its best to keep you there. I know of this all too well, most of us do, and anyone that's been through the dark night of the soul knows how things can cascade. We all know the saying, when it rains, it pours. Well, you have to maintain your state throughout that. You have to start looking at this reality as not being real, that it is illusionary, But at the same time, you also need to look at it as your opponent who's trying to make you lose your shit by continuously creating bad circumstances, and you can't take the bait and fall for it. And if that requires that you need to be indignant or defiant about it, that's better than letting it get you down. Eventually, you can start peppering in some gratitude for the things you do have and the things that haven't gone wrong while you're focusing on your ideal reality that you do want. Now, to illustrate the point, you may recall when I talked about love spells, how if you cast an attraction spell on somebody that you know, which, by the way, I don't recommend, but people almost always ignore it and do it anyway, because they're so infatuated with the person that they're trying to attract. And they do the spell, and the person they're trying to attract gets all pissed off and angry with them because you've turned up the heat, you've turned up the fire, and that's coming out now as anger towards you. And they could come at you calling you all sorts of horrible and nasty things and trying to get under your skin and make you angry as well. And for the record, if women are attracted to you, they may do this to you anyway, no spell required, because they're testing you to see if you're a rock or if you fold under pressure. And when they do this to you, your one job, your only job, the only correct move is to not react, to just stand there with a smile on your face.
The secret of the hangman, the smile on his lips.
The problem is that most likely you'll be caught off guard by this because in order for magic to manifest, you have to forget about it. You have to put it out of your mind. You have to let it go. And so if you have done this successfully, you'll be most likely blindsided when they storm up to you, cussing you out for apparently no reason. And if you react and allow them to change your vibrational state to where now you're angry with them and you're reacting to them, then you've lost the game, as well as their attraction for you. Well, your subconscious does the same thing when it comes to your vibration. If you try to raise your vibration and your frequency to get an ideal reality that you've been really wanting, your subconscious will create things to get you to react. It will create one problem after another to try to get an emotional response out of you. It is trying to trigger you. The good news is if you maintain state, don't react, and continue to focus on the higher reality that you want, then eventually the subconscious has to submit and create that reality for you. The subconscious doesn't want to have to create an entirely new reality for you when it already has one for you. But if you're successful in raising your vibration and your frequency, it must. And so like that person that you cast that love magic on, it will come at you to try to break your state in an effort to keep you in the reality that you're in. And so it's quite useful to think of it as that person trying to get you to react when things go wrong in your life, trying to get you to submit to it instead of it submitting to you. And that's really it. So if you're a magician that's looking to control your reality, it is something that you're going to have to master in order to gain access and reach higher levels of reality. And it can sort of become like a game or an opposition contest to see who's going to submit to who. And that caution of Capricorn that we talked about in the prior segment is part of that battle, is part of that contest, eliminating entire possibilities that the subconscious can throw at it to maintain or lower your vibrational state. It is a strategic move to protect your vibrational frequency. Again, all you have to do to win is not react, and Capricorn tries to eliminate the worst things that it could possibly react to. Now, another thing that may help you raise that vibrational state and not react is to think of reality as not being real, that it's all just a grand illusion. That it's all just a grand illusion, which in a manner of speaking it is, because reality is what our five senses tell us it is, and in the example of the light spectrum, we can only sense a tiny fraction of it. Therefore, there is way more to reality than what we can experience and sense. Now, I know other magicians and occultists will say that reality's not real, in an effort to get you to detach from reality so that you don't submit to it. But it's a very dangerous thing to tell people that reality's not real, because that could be misconstrued into somebody thinking that they're a bird and they can fly, and then they should jump off of something tall because somebody told them that reality's not real, so they should be able to fly, right, by jumping off this building, and then they end up with their reality ended with a splat on the pavement. So you can say that reality is not real all that you want, but there are laws that do govern this grand illusion of reality. You have to be careful what you tell people. You could do more harm than good by telling them something that they can misconstrue. And, I bring up the point because I see a lot of people that talk about reality not being real. And if reality is not real, then why are you using the word reality at all? Because it includes the word real. And so while it may be useful in the instance of not allowing circumstances and events to dictate your vibrational state, it's really more accurate to say that reality is a construct created by your subconscious as dictated by your vibrational frequency that is a result of your emotional state, your mindset and beliefs, the energy that you emit, the things that you focus on, and the manner that you react to or not react to this construct that we call reality. And doing so can create a feedback loop, which we call an upward or downward spiral. It gets you to react to it, so you submit to the will of reality, and then it gets you down, which then creates a lower vibration, which in turn creates more problems for you that you react to, which then lowers your vibration and your frequency, and it just spirals down and down and down. But the good news is you can also spiral up by raising your frequency to where your subconscious needs to submit to you and create that reality, which then raises your vibration because you're grateful for it, which then creates better things for you, and on and on and on, etc., getting you on that upward spiral. That's what 666 is, by the way. It's a downward spiral. The subconscious construct of reality trying to get you down into a lower vibrational state. It's also the secret of the hangman. Now, those of you who have taken advanced tarot know that most of the time when the hangman is drawn, it just means you can't do anything. You're stuck. You're hung. There's nothing that you could do about the situation, so you might as well not do anything. But there's also something else about the hangman that would perplex me with the symbolism until recently, which is why we're talking about it. And this is coming from someone who would meditate on a tarot card every day as part of their curriculum. But there was some connection between the hangman and time travel. In any meditation, when I was inquiring about time travel possibilities, the hangman was an image that would come up all the time. And I couldn't quite figure it out, but it has to do with raising your vibration. It's not time travel in the way that we're thinking of time, being past, present, and future. Instead, it's dimensional travel. It's frequency travel. Because when you change your frequency, you change everything. You enter an entirely new reality while your old one is left behind to pass away. Like the hangman hanging there, but with the slight smile on its lips because it's strangely okay with it. Just like when the woman was trying to goad him into reacting to her, and the only way to win is to just smile and take it. That is the secret of the hangman. That's what it represents. He's smiling because he knows that by taking it, he's going to achieve a higher vibrational state and transform his entire reality by raising his corresponding vibrational frequency. That will do it for today. All the programs mentioned in this video will be discounted through the links in the description, and I will see you next time. Take care.